Have you ever noticed how some people freeze up when someone gets too close, like a hug, a hand on the shoulder, or even sitting side by side feels like too much? Maybe that person is your partner, your friend, or maybe it is you. And what makes it even more confusing is that deep down they want love, they want connection, they want to feel close, but their body just says nope. That reaction is not random, and it is not you being cold or weird or broken. It is something deeper and way more common than people admit. In the US, we grow up hearing that love should be easy, that intimacy should feel natural, and that if you care about someone, closeness should just happen. But real life does not work like that. For a lot of people, physical closeness feels intense, awkward, or straight up unsafe even when the relationship is good. Their mind might say this is fine, but their nervous system is screaming back off. That disconnect can mess with your head and make you feel guilty or frustrated or confused. Some people call it being distant or emotionally unavailable. Others label it commitment issues or trust problems. But most of the time it is really about protection. At some point their body learned that closeness came with stress, pressure, or pain. So now it stays alert even when there is no real danger. It is not drama. It is survival mode. If you have ever pulled away without knowing why or felt your chest tighten during a simple moment of affection, this video is for you. If you have ever loved someone who kept a little distance no matter how much they cared, this video is for you too. Today we are breaking down why physical closeness can feel scary, where that fear actually comes from, and why it makes total sense once you understand it. So stay with me, because once you get this, it changes how you see yourself and the people you love. Have you ever noticed how some people tense up the second someone gets too close? Like a hug feels awkward. Sitting shoulder to shoulder feels uncomfortable. Even holding hands can make their body feel weird. And what is wild is that this happens even when they really like the person, even when they care, even when they want connection. It feels confusing, it feels frustrating, and most of the time nobody talks about it out loud. In the US, we are taught that closeness equals love, that physical touch is supposed to feel natural and easy. Movies show couples cuddling on couches without thinking twice. Friends hug hello like it is nothing. Families expect affection like it should just flow. So when someone does not react that way, they start thinking something is wrong with them. Or worse, people around them start judging. They get labeled cold, distant, dramatic, or emotionally unavailable. But the truth is way deeper than that. The fear of physical closeness does not mean someone hates touch. It does not mean they do not want love. And it definitely does not mean they are broken. It means their body learned something early on. Something about safety, something about boundaries, something about what closeness might cost them. And once the body learns that lesson, it does not just forget it because logic says everything is fine. This fear can look quiet on the outside. Someone might smile and joke and seem totally normal, but inside their chest feels tight. Their shoulders lock up, their brain starts scanning for exits. They might pull away just a little, change the subject, create space without even realizing they are doing it. And later they feel guilty for it. They replay the moment in their head, wondering why they reacted like that. A lot of people think fear of physical closeness comes from one big traumatic moment. And sometimes it does. But most of the time it is way more subtle. It can come from growing up in a house where affection was unpredictable. One day love felt warm and safe. The next day it felt overwhelming or conditional. The body learned that closeness was not always reliable, so it stayed alert. For some people, closeness meant pressure. Pressure to perform, pressure to comfort others, pressure to meet emotional needs that were too big for a child. So now as adults, their nervous system still connects touch with responsibility and stress, instead of comfort, instead of ease. That makes even simple affection feel heavy. For others, closeness was missing altogether. No hugs, no reassurance, no physical warmth. And weirdly, that can create fear too. When you grow up without touch, your body never learns how to relax into it. So when it finally shows up, it feels foreign and intense. Like stepping into bright light after being in the dark too long. This fear is way more common than people admit, especially in a culture that rewards independence and toughness. People learn early to handle things alone, to not need too much, to keep emotions in check. So when closeness starts breaking down those walls, it feels threatening, like losing control, like being seen too clearly. You see it show up in everyday relationships all the time. Someone loves their partner but avoids cuddling. Someone enjoys dating but panics when things get intimate. Someone craves connection but feels trapped once they have it. They might pull away right after a good moment, not because it was bad, but because it was too close. This is where things get messy, because the other person often takes it personally. They think they did something wrong. They feel rejected. They feel confused. And the person with the fear feels even worse, because they do not want to hurt anyone. They just cannot explain what their body is doing. A lot of people try to power through it. They force themselves to accept touch. They tell themselves to relax. They push past discomfort to seem normal, but that usually backfires, because the body does not respond to pressure, it responds to safety, and safety cannot be rushed. What makes this fear so hidden is how good people are at masking it. They joke, they deflect, they keep busy, they stay in motion, anything to avoid slowing down into closeness. On the surface they look confident and put together. Inside they are bracing, and here is the part nobody says enough. This fear is not a flaw. It is a survival response that once made sense. At some point closeness was linked with pain, confusion, or overwhelm. So the body did what it was supposed to do. It protected. The problem is that protection can stick around longer than the danger. So now it shows up in moments where love is actually safe, and that creates internal conflict. The heart wants connection, the body wants distance, and the person feels stuck in the middle. If any of this sounds familiar, you are not alone, and you are not weird, and you are not too much or too distant. You are human, and your nervous system has a story, one that deserves understanding instead of judgment. In this video we are going to break down what the fear of physical closeness really is, why so many people carry it without realizing, and how it quietly shapes everyday relationships in ways that can be healed. This is not about blaming parents or partners. It is about learning how the body keeps score and how awareness can change everything. So if you have ever pulled away and hated yourself for it, or loved someone who could not stay close even though they cared deeply, stay here. Because once you understand the hidden fear behind physical closeness, you stop seeing it as rejection, and you start seeing it as protection that is ready to soften. And that is where real connection begins. Most people think the way they react to touch as adults just came out of nowhere. Like one day you woke up and hugs felt awkward or closeness felt heavy. But the truth is your relationship with touch started way earlier than you remember. Long before dating, long before relationships, long before you even had words for feelings. It started in childhood, and whether you realize it or not, your body has been keeping receipts ever since. Some people grew up in homes where affection was rare. No hugs after a bad day. No comforting hand when things felt scary. Love might have been there, but it was quiet, distant, or conditional. You learned early that needing comfort was not really an option, so you stopped asking. You learned to self-soothe, to stay small, to deal with things on your own. And now, as an adult, when someone reaches for you, your body does not relax. It braces, because closeness feels unfamiliar, not comforting. Other people had the opposite experience. Too much closeness, too much emotional weight, caregivers who leaned too hard, who used touch to soothe themselves, who crossed boundaries without realizing it. Love felt intense, overwhelming, and sometimes suffocating. You did not get space to breathe. You did not get a choice. So your body learned that closeness meant losing yourself. And now even healthy affection can trigger that same trapped feeling. This is the difference between emotional neglect and emotional overload. One is the absence of touch and warmth. The other is touch without safety. And both can shape how adult touch feels later in life. Neither is better, neither is worse. They just teach the nervous system different lessons. When you grow up without healthy affection, your body never gets the chance to learn that touch can be calming. that it can slow your breathing, that it can feel grounding instead of stressful. So when it finally happens later, your system treats it like a foreign experience, something unknown, something to be cautious about. It is not rejection, it is unfamiliarity. And when you grow up with emotional overload, your body learns that closeness comes with pressure, with responsibility, with having to manage someone else's feelings. So as an adult, when someone gets close, your body tightens, not because you do not care, but because it remembers what closeness used to demand. This is why people get confused. They say, I had a normal childhood, nothing bad happened, but the body is not looking for bad. It is looking for patterns, consistency, safety, and sometimes what did not happen matters just as much as what did. You might not remember specific moments. You might not remember feeling lonely or overwhelmed, but your body remembers how it adapted. It remembers when it learned to shut down, or when it learned to stay alert, or when it learned to disconnect from sensation just to get through. That is why you can be with someone you trust and still feel tense. Why you can want closeness and also feel the urge to pull away. Your mind is in the present. Your body is reacting to the past. In the us especially, people love to say, just let it go, just move on, just get over it. But the nervous system does not work like that. It does not respond to logic. It responds to experience. And the earliest experiences hit the hardest. A kid who grows up without consistent affection learns independence early. They get praised for being strong, for not needing much, for handling things on their own. That praise feels good, but it comes with a cost, because now needing closeness feels like weakness, and accepting touch feels like giving up control. On the flip side, a kid who grows up with emotional overload learns that love comes with strings, that touch is not just touch, it is expectation, it is obligation, it is responsibility. So as an adult, they protect themselves by creating distance, not because they do not love, but because they are tired of carrying emotional weight. This stuff does not disappear just because you grow up. It does not magically reset when you start dating. It shows up in small moments, pulling away from hugs, feeling restless during cuddling, needing space after intimacy, feeling drained after being physically close. And here is the part that messes with people the most. You might logically know you are safe. You might trust your partner completely. You might want closeness more than anything, and still your body reacts like something is wrong. That does not make you broken. It makes you human. The body remembers because it had to. It learned early what kept you safe, and it kept using that strategy long after the environment changed. That is not a flaw. That is survival. What hurts is when people do not understand this. When partners take distance personally, when friends assume you are cold, when you start judging yourself for reactions you did not choose, that shame only reinforces the pattern. But once you understand where it comes from, things shift. You stop forcing yourself. You stop blaming yourself. You start listening to your body instead of fighting it. You realize that healing is not about pushing into discomfort. It is about creating safety. Slowly, healthy affection is learned. It is not automatic for everyone. It comes from consistency, choice, respect, and time. And the body needs proof, not promises. In this video, we are diving into how childhood experiences shape adult touch, how emotional neglect and emotional overload leave different marks, and why the body remembers even when the mind forgets. This is not about digging up blame. It is about understanding the language your nervous system has been speaking all along, because once you understand that, touch stops being scary, closeness stops feeling confusing, and connection starts to feel possible in a way that finally makes sense, and that is where real healing begins. A lot of people think fear of closeness is about personality, like you are either a touchy person or you are not. But for many people, it has nothing to do with preference and everything to do with survival. At some point, closeness stopped feeling safe, and once that happens, the body changes the rules. It starts protecting you even when you are not asking it to. Trauma does not always look dramatic. It is not always one big event that everyone can point to. Sometimes it is repeated moments of feeling powerless, feeling ignored, feeling trapped, feeling like your boundaries did not matter, and the body does not forget that. It rewires itself around it. When trauma happens, your nervous system learns fast. It learns what feels dangerous. It learns what feels overwhelming, and it adjusts your comfort levels to keep you alive. That means things that are supposed to feel good later on, like touch, closeness, or intimacy, can suddenly feel wrong. Not because they are wrong, but because your body learned to associate them with threat. You can be in a totally safe relationship and still feel your chest tighten when someone gets close. Your brain might know this person would never hurt you, but your body is not listening to logic. It is listening to memory, and memory lives in sensation, not thought. This is why people get frustrated with themselves. They say, "I know better. I trust this person. I should be fine." But the word should does not calm a nervous system. Safety does. And safety takes time. Boundaries play a huge role here. Healthy boundaries are not walls. They are signals. They tell your body where you end and someone else begins. But when trauma messes with boundaries, things get blurry. Either your boundaries were crossed too often, or you were never allowed to have them in the first place. Some people learned that saying no was dangerous, that pushing back caused conflict, that their comfort did not matter. So now their body skips the conversation and jumps straight to avoidance. It pulls away before things get uncomfortable, not because it wants distance, but because it does not trust that distance will be respected if it asks for it. Other people built boundaries so strong they turned into armor. No one gets too close. No one gets access. Because closeness once meant losing control, losing safety, losing yourself. So now distance feels like peace. Avoidance gets a bad representative. People call it immature or emotionally unavailable, but avoidance is often just self-protection in disguise. It is the nervous system choosing the option that feels least risky. Connection comes with uncertainty. Distance feels predictable. When you avoid closeness, your body stays regulated. Your breathing stays steady. Your heart rate stays calm. You feel in control. When you connect, you risk getting flooded, triggered, overwhelmed, so the body chooses what it knows works. This is why avoidance can feel safer than connection, even when connection is what you want. Wanting something does not mean your system is ready for it, and forcing it only reinforces the fear. In the US culture, people love to say push through your comfort zone, but when it comes to trauma, that advice can backfire hard, because trauma is not about discomfort. It is about danger signals firing when there is no danger, and pushing through tells the body it is not being listened to. What trauma really needs is choice. Choice is the opposite of trauma. Trauma takes choice away. Healing gives it back. When you get to decide when, how, and with whom closeness happens, your body slowly learns it is safe to relax. Personal boundaries are not about keeping people out. They are about letting people in safely. They allow closeness without overwhelm. They create a sense of control that trauma once stole. But here is the catch. A lot of people do not know how to communicate boundaries because they were never modeled. They either over-explain, or they shut down, or they disappear. Avoidance becomes easier than the risk of asking for what they need. This can show up in everyday moments. Not returning texts, needing space after intimacy, pulling away when things get emotional, canceling plans last minute. These are not games. They are coping strategies. The hard part is that avoidance protects you short-term but costs you long-term. It keeps you safe from pain but also from connection. And deep down that hurts too. Many people live in this tug of war, wanting closeness, fearing closeness, craving connection, avoiding it the second it feels real, and then feeling ashamed for the push-pull cycle. That shame keeps people silent. They do not talk about it. They do not ask for help. They assume something is wrong with them, but what is really happening is their body is still running an old survival program. Trauma does not mean you are damaged. It means you adapted, and adaptations can be updated when the environment changes. but the body needs proof, not pressure. Healing starts when you stop fighting avoidance and start understanding it, when you ask what it is protecting you from instead of judging it, when you build boundaries that feel supportive instead of restrictive. In this video, we are going to break down how trauma rewires comfort levels, why boundaries are essential for healing, and why avoidance makes sense even when it hurts. This is not about forcing yourself to be different. It is about learning how to feel safe enough to connect, because real connection does not come from pushing past fear. It comes from creating safety slowly. And when safety is there, closeness stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like home. And that is where self-protection turns into self-trust. Have you ever been in a relationship where everything felt good until it suddenly did not? The vibes were there, the connection was real, the talks were deep, and then out of nowhere someone started pulling back. Less texts, less touch, more space, more distance, and you are sitting there like, what just happened? Was it something I said? Did I move too fast? Did they stop caring? But the truth is, it is often not about you at all. This is where attachment styles come in, and yeah, it sounds like therapy talk, but it actually explains so much about why people act the way they do in relationships. Especially when things start getting real, a secure attachment is what most people think everyone has. It is when closeness feels good, dependence feels balanced. You can be close without losing yourself. You can have space without feeling abandoned. Secure people do not panic when someone gets close. They also do not freak out when someone needs space. Their nervous system feels steady, safe, regulated, but not everyone grew up with that wiring. A lot of people developed what is called avoidant attachment. And avoidant does not mean they hate love. It does not mean they are heartless. It means closeness triggers something in their body that says danger. Avoidant attachment usually forms when someone learned early that relying on others was not safe. Maybe caregivers were emotionally unavailable. Maybe affection came with conditions. Maybe needing comfort led to disappointment. So the body adapted. It learned to self-rely, to stay independent, to keep emotions contained. As adults, avoidant people can be charming, fun, confident. They often show up strong at the start of relationships. But when intimacy increases, something shifts. The closer things get, the more uncomfortable their body feels. Not because they do not care, but because closeness feels like a threat to control and safety. This is why some people pull away when things get close. It is not manipulation. It is not a game. It is a nervous system response. Their body feels overwhelmed and distance feels like relief. You might notice it happens after a really good moment. A deep talk, a weekend together, a moment of vulnerability. Right when you think, wow, this is real, they disappear emotionally. That is because intimacy activated old wiring, and their system hit the brakes. In the US, this pattern shows up all the time. Dating culture rewards independence, being chill, not needing too much. People pride themselves on being low maintenance. So avoidant behaviors often get praised. At least at first. Someone who does not text back right away seems busy and confident. Someone who needs space seems mature. Someone who avoids heavy talks seems drama-free. But over time, that distance starts to hurt, especially for partners who crave closeness. Common patterns start to repeat. One person reaches out, the other pulls back. One person asks for reassurance, the other shuts down. One person wants more connection, the other feels smothered, and both feel misunderstood. Avoidant people often say they feel trapped. Secure or anxious partners often say they feel rejected, and both are reacting from their attachment wiring, not from lack of love. What makes this hard is that avoidant people usually do not know why they are pulling away. They just feel the urge to create space, to distract themselves, to focus on work, to stay busy, to avoid emotional conversations. It feels instinctive, automatic. They might even convince themselves they are better off alone, that relationships are too much, that they lose themselves when they get close. These beliefs are not random. They come from early experiences where closeness felt unsafe or unreliable. In American culture, people love the idea of freedom, space, independence. So avoidant attachment often hides in plain sight. It gets labeled as being strong or self-sufficient. But inside there is often fear. Fear of needing, fear of depending, fear of being vulnerable. Secure attachment feels boring to avoidant people at first, because there is no chase, no distance, no tension, just consistency. And consistency can feel unfamiliar if chaos was the norm growing up. So when a secure partner shows up steady and available, the avoidant nervous system does not know what to do with that. It looks for problems. It feels restless. It creates distance to regain control. This is not because secure people are wrong, and it is not because avoidant people are broken. It is because their systems learned different definitions of safety in a lot of relationships, and not because of lack of love but because of mismatched attachment styles. People trigger each other without meaning to. One person asks for closeness. The other feels pressure. One person feels abandoned. The other feels suffocated. And both feel unseen. The hardest part is that avoidant people often feel shame about their reactions. They want to be closer. They want intimacy, but their body reacts like it is under threat, so they pull away and then feel guilty for it. Secure attachment is not about being perfect. It is about feeling safe enough to stay present, and that safety can be learned over time, but it requires awareness, patience, and communication that does not feel like pressure. Understanding attachment styles changes everything. It helps you stop taking things personally. It helps you see patterns instead of blaming yourself. It helps you choose relationships that feel healthier instead of repeating the same cycles. In this video, we are going to break down secure and avoidant attachment in a simple, real way. We are going to talk about why people pull away when things get close, and how these patterns show up in everyday American relationships. This is not about labeling yourself or anyone else. It is about understanding why your body reacts the way it does. Because once you understand the pattern, you can change how you respond to it. Closeness does not have to feel scary. Intimacy does not have to feel like a loss of freedom. When safety is built slowly and consistently, the nervous system learns a new story. And that is when relationships stop feeling like a push and pull, and start feeling like a place you can actually breathe. Ever notice how some people freeze or freak out when someone tries to get close? It can be a hug, a hand on the shoulder, a long talk, or even just sharing a personal thought. And it is not that they do not care. It is not that they do not want love or connection. Something inside them just flips a switch. And that switch is called anxiety. Anxiety shows up in closeness because closeness feels unpredictable. It feels like you are handing someone a piece of yourself and hoping they do not crush it. That piece of yourself can be your feelings, your needs, your heart. And when your brain and body are wired to stay alert, that risk can feel huge. Even if logically you know the other person would never hurt you, the nervous system does not care about logic. It reacts to perceived threat, and closeness can feel like a threat if you have ever been hurt before. For a lot of people in the US, independence is a badge of honor. Being self-sufficient means you are strong and capable, but closeness can feel like losing that independence. When you let someone in, you give them access to your routines, your choices, your private space. That can feel like control slipping through your fingers. And when control feels like it is leaving, anxiety jumps in to grab it back. Vulnerability is where it gets even trickier. Being vulnerable is basically saying, "Here I am, take me as I am with all my mess and flaws." And that feels risky because it puts your emotions in the hands of someone else. If they judge, if they reject, if they ignore, it can feel unbearable. That fear can make people pull back fast even when they desperately want to connect. This is why you see people push away right after a moment of intimacy, right after a hug, a kiss, a deep conversation. Not because they do not care, but because the anxiety spikes. The need for control kicks in. The vulnerability feels unsafe, and the safest thing their body knows is to create distance. It is wild because the same people who pull away also crave closeness. They want intimacy, they want touch, they want to feel seen, but the body does not always agree with the mind, and that creates a push-pull cycle. One moment they lean in, the next moment they retreat, and both sides feel frustrated, confused, and maybe even rejected. In the us culture, we glorify control. We glorify independence. We glorify not needing anyone, and that can make anxiety around closeness even worse because it tells people to hide their fear. It tells them to mask the need for connection, to seem chill even when they are freaking out inside. Some people never learn how to handle vulnerability safely. They never get taught that it is okay to open up slowly, that it is okay to let someone in bit by bit. That trust is built over time and does not have to feel dangerous every single step of the way. So they stay guarded, they stay distant, they stay safe, and it feels like protection, even when it hurts them and the people they care about. The problem is avoidance protects in the short term but eats away at closeness in the long term. Pulling back stops the immediate anxiety spike. It keeps control in the moment, but it also prevents true connection from developing, and that leaves a lot of people feeling lonely even in relationships, feeling misunderstood even when they are loved. People with this fear are not broken. They are not cold. They are human. Their bodies are just doing exactly what they were taught to do by past experiences. Their nervous system is running old software that says closeness equals danger, and that software can be updated with patience, understanding, and safe practice. Healing starts with noticing the pattern, recognizing that anxiety spikes do not mean you are failing, understanding that pulling away is not betrayal, it is a coping mechanism, and learning how to introduce closeness slowly in a way that feels safe and sustainable. Vulnerability can feel risky, but it is also the only way to build real intimacy. Being open bit by bit, sharing small pieces first, letting trust grow like a plant. That is how control and anxiety stop being enemies and start being tools. Tools that teach the body it is safe to relax and feel connection instead of fear. In this video, we are going to break down why closeness triggers anxiety, how fear of losing control or independence shows up in relationships, and why vulnerability feels risky to some people even when love is real. We are going to give real examples that make it relatable for life in the us. And we are going to look at ways to navigate these feelings without shame, judgment, or pressure. Because the truth is, anxiety does not have to win, control does not have to block intimacy, and vulnerability can feel safe when it is paced and respected. Once you understand how your body and mind are reacting, you can start to make choices that feel good instead of just automatic. This is not about being perfect. It is about understanding yourself, understanding your reactions, and creating a path to connection that works for you. Because closeness should not feel like a threat, it should feel like a safe place. And you can get there one small step at a time. So stay with me, because once you understand anxiety, control, and vulnerability in relationships, everything starts making more sense. You stop blaming yourself, you stop blaming the other person, and you start seeing patterns that you can change. And that is where real connection begins. Have you ever been in a relationship where everything seemed fine but somehow it felt like you were on different planets? Like your partner said one thing and your body felt another. Like you wanted closeness, but the closer you got, the more uncomfortable it became. You are not alone, and it is not your fault. This is how fear of closeness shows up in real life and why it messes with relationships more than most people realize. When one person in a relationship fears closeness, misunderstandings happen fast. You might read distance as disinterest or coldness when really it is protection. You might think your partner does not care about you when in reality they are just trying to keep themselves from getting hurt. And the other person might think your desire for connection is clingy or overwhelming when really it is just what they need to feel secure. Both sides are operating from different wiring, and that makes communication tricky as hell. Feeling misunderstood is brutal, especially in a culture like the US where we expect adults to just be able to talk about their feelings and make it work. But fear of closeness is not about unwillingness. It is about nervous systems that learned a long time ago that intimacy can be scary. So one person pulls away and the other person leans in, and everyone ends up frustrated, hurt, and questioning themselves. You start wondering if you are too much or not enough, if you are broken, if love alone is supposed to fix this. Spoiler alert, love alone does not fix it. Love is powerful, but it cannot override years of learned reactions. You can care about someone with all your heart and still trigger their fear. You can give them affection and patience and support and still have them pull away. That does not mean the relationship is doomed. It means that understanding how fear works is just as important as love, and ignoring it only makes misunderstandings pile up. This fear also affects daily routines. Texts go unanswered or are delayed. Plans get canceled last minute. Hugs are avoided. Conversations about feelings are sidestepped. To someone without this fear, all of this looks like rejection or disinterest, but to the person experiencing it, it feels like survival. Avoidance feels safer than connection because the body has learned that closeness equals risk. And the irony is that the risk is often emotional, not physical, but the body does not care. It only knows how it has adapted to protect itself. Partners often feel exhausted. They love someone deeply, but they constantly have to guess what is safe and what will trigger a pullback. They start walking on eggshells around touch, intimacy, and vulnerability, and they may even start blaming themselves when their efforts to connect seem to fail. And on the other side, the person who fears closeness feels guilty. They feel frustrated for not being able to just relax and accept love. They feel trapped between wanting intimacy and needing distance. Both sides hurt even though neither person is doing anything wrong intentionally. Friends and family can also get caught up in this. They may offer advice like just push them to open up, or just let them go, or just love harder. None of that works on its own, because this is not about love or effort. It is about how the nervous system reacts. It is about patterns that were built long before the current relationship existed. And those patterns do not disappear overnight, even if love is real and strong. One of the hardest things for people in these relationships is self-perception. They start to think they are broken or defective. They think their partner should just get over it, or that they themselves should just get closer. They internalize the fear and shame and start doubting their worth. This is what makes fear so heavy. It is not just about avoiding touch. It is about carrying guilt, frustration, and self-judgment on top of it. But there is a path forward. Awareness is step one. Understanding that these patterns are not personal attacks is huge. Realizing that pulling away is a survival response and not a lack of love changes the whole perspective. Once you see fear as a signal and not a verdict, the dynamic starts to shift. Then you can start learning how to build safety instead of blame. You can create boundaries that allow closeness without triggering panic. You can communicate in ways that make both partners feel seen and respected. And slowly over time, the relationship becomes less about guessing and more about genuine connection. Another key point is patience. Nothing changes overnight. Relationships are not magic. They require time, consistent effort, and respect for the nervous system of everyone involved. For someone who fears closeness, love feels risky. For their partner, love can feel confusing. But with awareness and communication, love becomes a tool for healing instead of a source of frustration. Love sets the stage, but it is understanding that builds the house. The truth is, fear of closeness affects every layer of a relationship: emotional, physical, social, daily routines, long-term plans. It creeps into trust, intimacy, and even how partners see each other. And if ignored, it quietly erodes connection even when both people care deeply. But addressed with empathy, awareness, and patience, it can be managed. It can be navigated. And it does not have to ruin the relationship. In this context where independence is praised and emotions are often hidden, this fear can feel even more isolating. People may assume everyone else is fine with touch and closeness, and that only they are complicated. That isolation can make shame worse and make misunderstandings even more intense. But the more you talk about it openly, the less power it has to create distance. Communication becomes a bridge between fear and connection. So if you have ever felt your partner pull away and taken it personally, or wondered why you feel uneasy when someone tries to get close, this video is for you. We are going to break down how fear of closeness shows up in everyday relationships. why misunderstandings happen even when love is real, and why thinking love alone will fix it is a trap. We will talk about strategies to recognize the patterns, communicate safely, and create a space where closeness feels possible without panic or shame, because understanding fear is the key to breaking the cycle. When you see the why behind the reactions, you stop blaming yourself, you stop blaming your partner, and you start seeing ways to build connection in a way that feels safe for everyone. And that is where real relationships grow strong. That is where closeness stops being scary and starts being something you can enjoy and trust. And that is exactly what we are going to explore in this video. Healing from fear of closeness is a wild ride. It is not linear, it is not fast, and it is definitely not something that happens just because you want it to. For most people in this, we are told just lean in, just love more, just try harder, but real healing does not work like that. Your nervous system is still running old programs from childhood trauma, past hurts, and learned patterns. It is still wired to protect you from what feels unsafe, and that protection can make closeness feel risky, even when the people around you are safe and loving. The first step is learning safe touch at your own pace. That might sound simple, but it is huge. Safe touch is any kind of physical connection that feels manageable to your body and does not spike anxiety. Maybe that is holding hands for a few seconds or sitting close without hugging. Maybe it is letting someone touch your shoulder or giving yourself permission to lean into a hug only when you feel ready. The key is that it is your pace and nobody else sets the rules. You are in charge. Your comfort matters. And your body will slowly learn that closeness does not always equal danger. Communication without shame is the next piece. So many people stay silent because they think their fear of closeness is weird, broken, or selfish. They worry partners, friends, or family will judge them or take it personally. But speaking up is essential. Saying, "I need a little space, I get nervous when we get close, I am working on this," can change everything. You are not asking for anything crazy. You are just giving people a roadmap for your nervous system. Honest communication builds trust. It removes mystery. It prevents misunderstandings, and it stops guilt from piling up. Therapy or support can be a game changer. Talking to someone trained to understand these patterns can help you unpack why your body reacts the way it does. It can help you practice safe touch exercises, it can guide you in setting boundaries, and it can give you tools to cope when anxiety spikes. Support groups or trusted friends can also help because sharing your experience reminds you that you are not alone. You are not defective. You are not broken. You are human. And humans sometimes need help learning how to relax into connection. Growth takes time. You will have setbacks. You will pull away even when you do not want to. You will get frustrated with yourself and wonder if this will ever get easier. That is normal. Healing is messy. It is trial and error. But with patience and persistence, you start noticing small wins. A longer hug that does not feel overwhelming. A conversation where you can speak your needs without shame. A moment of closeness where your body does not scream danger. And those wins build up and make the next step easier. Reassurance is crucial. Remind yourself constantly that you are not broken. You are not unmovable. You are not defective. You are human. Your nervous system learned to protect you, and that was smart at the time. Now it just needs a little retraining and patience. You get to set the pace. You get to practice safe touch. You get to communicate your needs. You get to ask for support. And you get to celebrate progress instead of focusing on what is not perfect. Building safe closeness is not just about physical touch. It is about emotional trust. It is about feeling comfortable being vulnerable. It is about knowing you can ask for space and still be loved. It is about being honest with yourself and the people around you. It is about giving yourself permission to feel nervous without shaming yourself. And over time, those little moments add up. They change the way your body reacts. They change how you relate to love. They change how you experience connection. In this culture where independence is praised and emotions are often masked, this can feel extra hard. People may look around and think everyone else is fine with closeness and only they are complicated. That isolation can amplify fear and shame. But opening up slowly and safely with the right people shifts that narrative. You learn that closeness can feel good. You learn that trust can be rebuilt. You learn that your body can relax even when someone gets near. Healing also teaches you boundaries are not walls. Boundaries are tools. They tell people what feels safe and what does not. They prevent overwhelm. They create clarity. They protect your progress. And when boundaries are respected, closeness starts to feel like choice, not threat. It is the difference between being trapped and being invited in. And that sense of control over your own space and comfort is essential for building trust in relationships. Little by little, the fear fades. It does not disappear overnight. Some days it will spike again. Some moments will still feel scary. But with safe touch, communication, support, and patience, those spikes get smaller. You notice longer periods of comfort. You notice closeness starting to feel natural. You notice yourself leaning in when before you would have pulled away. And that is the real win. Not perfection, not constant ease, but progress and trust and connection that actually works. So if you have been avoiding touch, avoiding intimacy, avoiding vulnerability, this video is for you. We are going to explore how to practice safe touch at your own pace, how to communicate without shame, when to reach for support, and why every step forward matters. We are going to show that healing is possible, that growth is messy but real, and that closeness can be safe and enjoyable. You are not broken, you are human, and you deserve to feel connection that feels good and right. This journey is yours to take. No rush, no pressure, just patience, practice, and persistence. Celebrate each win, no matter how small. Speak your needs. Ask for help. Honor your boundaries. And slowly, over time, closeness that once felt scary starts feeling normal. You start trusting yourself. You start trusting others. And you start experiencing relationships in a way that feels safe, real, and loving. And that is exactly what building safe closeness is all about. Here is the real deal. Fear of closeness is not a flaw. Pulling away, anxiety, avoiding touch, it does not make you broken. It makes you human. Your body is wired to protect you, and sometimes that protection shows up in ways that confuse the people around you and even yourself. But once you get it, once you understand why it happens, everything changes. The moral is simple but powerful. Healing and growth are about patience, not perfection. You do not have to force yourself to be close before you are ready. You do not have to apologize for needing space. You do not have to shame yourself for pulling back. Learning safe touch at your own pace, speaking up without guilt, and reaching out for support are not just steps to better relationships. They are steps to trusting yourself. They are steps to proving to your nervous system that intimacy can be safe. Another thing is, love alone will not fix it. Love is important. Connection matters. But understanding your patterns and giving yourself permission to take it slow is what actually makes closeness feel real. It is about creating safety first before expecting your heart to relax. And that means boundaries, communication, and self-compassion are not optional. They are essential. So the takeaway is this: you are not broken. You are not unmovable. You are learning. You are growing. And every small step you take towards safe closeness matters. Respect your pace, honor your needs, and celebrate progress even when it feels tiny. Real intimacy starts with safety. And when you get that part right, love, trust, and connection will finally follow naturally. At the end of the day, it is all about being human, embracing your journey, and giving yourself permission to feel safe and seen. Alright, so we made it to the end, and I know this stuff can feel heavy. Fear of closeness, anxiety, boundaries, all of it can mess with your head and your heart, but here is the thing: you are not broken. You are human. And every step you take toward understanding yourself is a win. Healing does not happen overnight. It is messy, it is slow, and it is full of little victories that add up over time. Take a minute to give yourself credit. Even watching this video and thinking about your own patterns means you care about connection. You care about growth. You care about being better for yourself and the people you love. That is huge. Most people do not even start this journey. You did. And that matters. Remember, safe touch matters. Communication without shame matters. Asking for help matters. Whether it is therapy, support groups, or talking with someone you trust, it all counts. Every time you speak up, every time you honor your boundaries, every time you allow yourself to feel safe, you are retraining your nervous system. You are building closeness that actually works. You are proving to yourself that intimacy can feel good, not scary. So if today you learned something new about yourself or your relationships, take it with you. Keep practicing, keep experimenting, keep being patient with yourself. Progress is progress, no matter how small. And know this: connection is possible. Love is possible. Safe closeness is possible. You are not broken. You are growing. You are learning. And step by step, you are becoming the version of yourself that can truly feel safe and seen. Stay patient. Stay curious. Stay kind to yourself. And remember, you got this.